5, 6, 7, 8. 1. Take off your shoes, it's an Asian house you can't refuse. 2. Don't let them in, you'll have to kick them out by 10. 3. Don't talk to me, you're not working hard and really busy. But if you ever need me, you know I'll be there for you. We got house rules, we got them. Yay! Welcome to the house! Hey there guys, and welcome back to UnJaded Jade. Welcome to one of my favourite types of video that I could ever make, which is the roomie Q&A. I don't know if you ever saw my roomie Q&A in Berlin with Gabriel and Lara, but it has been literally one of my favourite videos that I've ever made, and so I thought we've got to bring it back for the Buenos Aires University house dynamic. And in general, I just feel so grateful for the house that we've been lucky enough to have this year. It's just been such an amazing dynamic, and we're gonna dig into it today. So on Instagram, I asked for some of your questions and we're just gonna go through them. It's gonna be chill, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. You're now part of the house. You're like now an honorary member. Welcome. But we do have house rules. So I think it's really important that we first just get like a little, who are you all? A lot of questions were saying, where are you from? Tell me your story. Why are you here at Minerva? So maybe each of you could just give a little bit about who you are, your name, where you're from, and yeah, how you ended up here.
Hi everyone, my name is Phương. I'm from Vietnam. I would say I call a lot of places home, but at the moment I still introduce myself as from Vietnam because I love my home. You should come visit. The reason why I ended up at Minerva was very unexpected. I even missed my deadline to apply for Minerva because I wasn't adventurous at first and I found it quite risky to come to Minerva. Before, I was in a community college in the US, and I think I was just very tired of like the traditional way of learning, and I didn't feel like I learned a lot. I wanted to give Minerva a shot, and yeah, I think it's been like a life-changing experience in many ways, and I hope to talk about it today. Yeah.
For context, it's so interesting that Phong was saying like, oh, she hasn't had a good experience at community college, she wants more from education, because she's like education goddess. Like, you'll learn more about Phong as the video goes on, but yeah, queen of education.
Esther.
Yes, hello, I'm Esther and I'm from Taiwan. Oh yes, I cannot wait to take you all to all the places in Taiwan.
Oh yeah, we're
semester.
moving to Taiwan next semester.
Yeah, I study 3 university and Minerva is my 3rd one. And I've studied in Taiwan and also Netherlands and Minerva. And the reason I come to Minerva is because I genuinely believe in education and I think I'm worth good education. So I'm trying to break through like the constraints that I have initially.
What are you studying?
Data science.
And Esther is like CS queen, so good at coding.
Another CS queen.
CS queen.
Hi everyone, my name is Ha and I'm from Vietnam. I also call myself, like besides Vietnam, I also call Singapore my second home because I studied there for 4 years for high school. I came to Minerva primarily because 7 different countries and like the ability to travel was something that was so exciting to me. And also I remember when I was applying for Minerva, there was this special concentration which is the intersection of like earth science and applied problem solving. And for me that was so interesting because I'm really passionate about climate change and finding like solutions to climate, and that was just like wow, like the thing that I want to do. I ended up discovering CS and then falling in love with like software and building, and that's a whole different tangent. But I think all in all, I think Minerva has been such a good experience because I also get to meet all of you guys and just, I know,
The main factor, everything.
So good. Thanks guys for the little intro. You've kind of already answered this, but I think it's a nice start. Is why did you opt for a globalized university?
I can go because I study in Singapore for high school, and so
How did you end up studying in Singapore?
oh, I got a scholarship to like, yeah, there's a scholarship. I applied, I got it, like very unexpected because in the past I was like, I'm gonna stay in Vietnam, but Singapore was like a different turn of events, and I learned so much being in a different place, like just getting out of the context that I was in. And I think that's when I really like learn to value like being in a place where people are very different from you and learning to adapt to that different environment, different context. And I think that's why like when hearing Minerva, the traveling aspect, and everyone think, oh, traveling is so fun, and I think that's very true. But also you learn so much from like just being in different places, knowing how people work, how people think, and taking what is different about each place and integrating that in your life. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like we all grew up with the mental model, and the mental model might be coming from like your culture, your education, and your family. And I think throwing yourself into a different like culture or country really challenge the frames that you have and you've never seen it before. So I feel like in Minerva, there's lots of time I feel extremely uncomfortable because people have very different frames from me. But that also, when your value clashes, you also learn how to rebuild your value system. And I think I really appreciate it. Yeah.
This is a really fun question, and I actually don't know the answer. So, what were your first impressions of each other?
I had a very vivid memory with Esther. So 3 of us were on the 9th floor.
The best
and then
floor.
There's a common room. Like there's this evening where we were talking about organizational behavior, like organizational structure, and how she's so into that topic. And like
That's
me
so niche.
not really knowing like what it is, but I was like, yes, I love it too. And then I just remember we bonded over the fact that like we are interested in similar things.
So what did you think of Esther because of this conversation?
Oh, I think it's still the same Esther that I know. Like still very, like the love for learning is always there. And she's so analytical, logical, and like the way she just described things, you know, just now, you know, mental model, all that kind of stuff, like very framework driven, like
Mental
now.
model is a daily word.
Yeah.
Constructivism.
Constructivism.
You update your
Yeah.
model. I have impression of Jade.
Please share.
Can I be honest though?
You can be so honest. You can be like, I hated this girl.
Because everyone know you're a YouTuber coming in, right? And then so like I was like, I don't know if a lot of people start chatting with you before you come in, maybe. And I remember the first time you like come up the elevator of the 9th floor, and then you open the elevator and there's so many things like around you, and you carry all the boxes and all like the carriage out, and like people is like,
I have one suitcase, Esther.
I don't think so. I think you have many things. I remember I have a bit of people, like teddies around you. And then I was like, oh, this girl's gonna be popular, and I'm too lazy to talk to her. That's my first impression.
And now I'm unpopular and now we're friends.
No, just like you're actually nice as a person, not only a YouTuber. That's what I meant.
I also want to build on that because I remember I first met you in an AWS event. So AWS, yeah, AWS is this workspace that we go to in San Francisco, and they have all kind of events.
Yeah, free things,
free food. That was what we were there for. Before that, I haven't met you, and I was just having this image. Oh, she's a YouTuber. She's gonna like stick to her friends or like a few people that she already know, and I kind of expect to not even be talking to you at all. But then I think the minute you know that we're Minervans, then you're like, oh, how are you doing? Like you were so like open and like happy, and I remember very distinctly that you asked for my Instagram, and like I don't know why, but it was just like I have this expectation that like she's just not gonna ask because she's a YouTuber. Why would she ask for my Instagram? You know? But yeah, it was.
And I was not let down. Brilliant content. I always just remember from that event you being like very smiley. Like I don't remember a lot. I just remember thinking, wow, she has such like a bright smile. And then I think I didn't really know you in first year, but I didn't have any like bad thoughts. I was just like, oh, she's like smiley and nice. Just our paths never crossed.
That's true.
And then I think over time I became more friends with her because I realised we have a lot of similar values with interest in climate. We're both vegan. And then in Berlin, I was like, I want to be friends with this girl. Why are we not friends? And we started hanging out. So you've got to be intentional in creating friendship sometimes.
I just thought that like, oh, you know, she won this scholarship in Singapore, and I was like, she's a hardworking Asian kid.
Not wrong. No. I remember my first impressions of Fong. So for context, I was roommates with Fong in first year. I just thought she was such a workaholic. I was in awe of her because every single night Fong would spend, I would say 2 hours minimum replying to emails. She was just a networking goddess. Every day she'd get like her 100 emails and be like, on LinkedIn, just always connecting to people.
I was-
emails. And so I was like, wow, she is gonna know the whole US by the time we leave SF. And she's just always like doing coffee chats with people, but in a very inspiring way. But then something I could never understand is how she would go to bed after me and wake up before me. And I was like, does she sleep? Like, this girl's actually a robot. Yeah, I just thought you were a workaholic, and now I know that's true, but she does also enjoy life.
Thankfully.
This is a question for Esther. How do you cope with crushes and love life when they're a distraction and you have so much work to do?
Okay. I will call a roommate town hall meeting. So I will send a text in our chat and then say 9:30 town hall meeting today. Yeah. And the agenda usually go like this. First, I will tell my story. Second, we will have Q&A session. People ask about my story. Third, we'll go through a discussion. And fourth, we'll go through voting system.
Yeah, like should you continue seeing this person? Should it end? Like, where should this go? You know? Do you find love life a distraction?
I was so distracted. I kept overthinking it and I couldn't stop myself from thinking, so I come up with a brilliant idea.
Oh, come on, share it.
I do Pomodoro and I work for 25 minutes and overthink for 5 minutes.
You give yourself overthinking time. Wow. Okay, that's a good solution.
You're very logical.
Very logical. Now we're going into the theme of roommate dynamics. Okay, so question, how do you guys keep the harmony in a shared flat and actually enjoy the experience of living together?
Having a time to talk about expectations and ground rules in the beginning like we did.
Could you expand on what that means for people who don't know about the expectations, rules?
Yes, so if I can remember, right at the beginning of the semester when we all start to room together, we'll have a meeting. That sounds so formal. We have a chat.
We had a chat.
Chat on
dinner.
Yeah, over dinner we just had a chat.
and Notion page.
True,
Also
true.
true.
Hashtag sponsored.
I think it's very useful to talk about people's lifestyles. Like, are you a night person? Are you an early morning person? What's your mood like throughout the day? What's your expectations for like living space? How clean you are?
Which
and
takes
then-
a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think actually even, you know, questions like what do you prefer in living space? I think this is also a product of us having been at university with roommates for 4 years, 3 years up until now, and we do have an idea about our preferences, how we actually realistically live when we have so much work, and I think communicating that in this meeting chat is really important.
Because I remember there's several question that's really good, such as how do we want to deal with conflicts?
Yeah.
Like, do we prefer talking out loud, or we are like Asian, so we like hint it through, or how we want to deal with it?
Guys, I'm so Asian too. This is such a good house for me. Indirect.
And also another is really good is like how do we deal with when each other are down? Do you prefer to people ask you, or you want to be alone? And I think that's very helpful when we encounter like ups and downs in the semester.
And I think adding on to that, we create rules, but we also like find ways to enforce it. One of the first few dinners that we have, I was talking about how, in the morning I'm just kind of dead and like I won't be engaging as much, and I can feel that after that, like people also, like everyone in the flat, when I wake up in the morning and be like, oh, then people also like know.
That's
and
true.
just giving that space for me. And I think that like we really, not only we set the rules and we tell each other, but we also really listen and really try to like enforce all of this. Yeah.
And I really like my I wish, I wonder, and I like.
This is a life-changing framework. Esther's about to change your life. So when we had a roomie dinner, which is also something that we try and schedule, like based on our calendars, every 2 to 3 weeks, where we just, you know, make an effort 1 day a week to cook together, sit down, chat about life, sort of again talk about these roomie expectations, how we feel they've been upheld or not. But that can be a very scary conversation to have. And so Esther has this great framework for indirect people. Do you want to explain it?
Yes. So I think this is a design thinking method that I learned from my work. And then so it's I did it with my mentor doing weekly feedback through the framework. I like what you did in this week. I wish about what you could have changed. And I wonders the things that you find it uncertain and you want to know what other people's opinion.
It's so good because it's things like, I wonder if I'm hogging this desk and using it too much. I wish, other people would help with the cleaning. Things like this that have been on your mind, but you're too scared to talk about it. You don't want to turn it into a big thing. You don't want to turn it into conflict. And all of a sudden, we're introducing this framework, this conversation where you can voice these things. So I think that's life-changing.
Welcome.
Someone actually asked, how did you bring up the first conversation about house rules? Because they're saying they're moving into a flat and it feels very awkward with strangers to say, can we do a house rules chat? Like, it feels very formal for new people. So what advice would you give for bringing up that as a conversation?
I think what I really liked is also we set an atmosphere for it. So it was like over dinner, it's our first roommate dinner, we're gonna cook together, we're gonna we really ease it in, where it's like, oh, it's a roommate bonding thing.
That's
and then
true.
towards the end, we're like, okay, I think it's time, let's talk about expectations, let's talk about rules and things like that. And I think that can also be like a easy-ish way where you just kind of ease in, like, let's have a bonding dinner, and then towards the end you're like, oh, let's talk a bit about expectations.
So I guess if you're moving into a new flat, you can just say like, oh hey, I'd love to get to know you better. Like, oh, I'm really good at cooking this one dish, let me make you dinner, and then, oh, are you free this day? And then in that conversation, towards the end, when the ice has been broken, you can just bring up. How do you balance the different cultures in the house? And do you experience any culture shocks? We've got 2 people from Vietnam.
How do you experience your culture shock?
Well, I guess how similar do you think your culture is to Vietnamese culture? Like, do you feel culture shocks between you 3?
No, I don't.
Well, that's easy then. Do you feel culture shocks with me? Or like cultural differences?
We're Asian.
I am Asian.
Do you feel culture shock though?
Generally, you guys are just very clean, quieter than a lot of other people, and generally more respectful. But I don't know if that's just you or if that's cultural, but I do feel that's like a theme, and I think it's a reinforcing loop between you all. No, here's one. Your willingness to compromise. I think all of you, in the whole idea of respecting other people's boundaries, are willing to compromise your own expectations, because I think that's not cultural to want to compromise.
Oh,
yeah.
I think it's hard to say what is cultural and what's just based on the Minerva environment.
We've lived in too many places now. We're corrupted culturally. Do you ever get sick of sharing a room with another person and wish that you had your own room?
Do you, Esther? Do you?
Everyone wished to have their own room, right?
No.
Anyway.
No.
Really?
Maybe I want my own room, but what I really like about rooming with Esther is she's so consistent with meditation, and she would make me do it. Cause I remember she got back from Patagonia trip, and the first day she's back, she's like, oh, you make your bed today, and I'm like, Esther, I make my bed every day, and then she's like, yes, but you don't meditate today.
She's accountability in a person.
I was meditating and Ha always said, oh, I'm so inspirational. And I was like, I do it every day. How come this is inspirational? But when Ha started meditating, I was like, this is inspirational.
Also, in general, I think we have very good habits as a house.
True.
And it spurs us all on to keep habits.
Yeah.
Generally in the morning, you will find us either reading, meditating, or doing yoga.
True.
All of us doing these activities.
I think in general I would prefer own room, but then I don't like living by myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know whether Minerva changed me, but just the fact, the idea of having roommates.
Now we're on to the rapid fire portion of the video. So it's just one word answer. Okay. Who stays up the latest? Who's the biggest night owl?
Not even a question.
Who is the earliest, the early bird? I think one of you two.
I mean, I don't wake up that early, so I don't
I think in general,
I think 5 or 6.
No, if I'm literally be on a work call at 5 a.m.
Yeah, that's true. And 12 a.m.
Yeah.
No, this is hilarious. What was your most listened to song of 2022?
It's called Working.
Who is the cleanest?
Oh wow.
For sure. Who is the most energetic?
You.
Who would be most likely to survive stranded on a desert island?
I'm like, if
Oh.
there's
Is it
another
you and the wild
person, it might be
animals?
Jade.
I
But then
would defend them.
but then if no person, maybe.
But you need to break down how would you survive in a stranded island, right? You need like food, resources.
Yeah. So it's like resourcefulness,
Break it down, right?
It's like strength, right? Endurance,
Right.
Yeah.
probably. What else?
And like ability of making tools,
Yeah.
like to like
So
catch
creativity.
creativity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and an ability to get yourself out of the island.
What is either the most recent book you read or what book you're reading now?
Because we are talking about books.
Right now I'm reading. Maybe you should talk to someone.
So good.
I know.
So good.
It's like a book about like a therapist
So good.
and her own journey, like going through therapy, her clients in therapy,
Oh.
like how she got to it, and it's just like about like lessons she learned about life, but like integrated with like therapy, psychology and the science of
Oh,
like,
that sounds-
well-being. It's so well written.
I'm reading All About Love by Bell Hooks.
Ah.
I don't know if anyone's read this
Yeah.
book. It's so good. I was telling you this yesterday. Is rethinking the idea of love as not being a noun or a feeling, but as being an action. Love is something you do. Love is not something you have. And I think as long as you're always practicing love in an action sense, then you will have it, right? As opposed to just saying, "Oh, I'm in love with them," therefore, like you can justify all these other bad things that you do. Like, no, you should be doing actions if you love someone.
Remember it called The Inner Mind of Tennis? And it's from Bill Gates' recommendation. And it's talking about like, for instance, the famous tennis player Roger Federer. Like no matter what kind of like strokes that he make, like winning or losing the ball, he's always calm. And it doesn't make emotional reaction no matter the external circumstances. I think it applies to a lot of things because in your life, like there's a lot of reason that you can be losing or winning. Like for instance, the interview. Like if you didn't pass the interview, it's like, oh, I'm so stupid at over analyzing all the conversations that you have with the recruiter. But a lot of times, like circumstances, it's like, oh, maybe the position's filled, or maybe you're not a good fit. There's so many reasons, and you. I think what I want to be is like I want to learn from the mistake and experience, but not to overthink
And not make it your identity.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Recently, I haven't read like a book that I think after you guys sharing, it's like mind blowing because I have been just reading books that serve my project. But I will share
Someone reads a lot of
podcasts.
articles. Like literally as a personality trait, the phone will send you amazing articles and things. So maybe I should have rephrased
Or
it.
newsletters.
Yeah,
Articles.
just send it today.
But I'll share a podcast that I recently picked up, Akimbo. I think you know. Right?
Oh, I love Akimbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I recently. Do you guys know Seth Godin?
This is marketing.
Yeah, I think he influenced a lot the way I think about marketing. But one of the podcasts recently I listened to, it's called Four Forces. Something that stick with me a lot was he was saying how we often like get very short-sighted by asking the question of what is the like short-term business goals, but instead we should ask what's the culture that we want to build, what's like the life that we want to live, how we want to influence like customers, and like how do we want to change the culture that we're in. And I think the reason why he influenced the way I think about marketing is that it's not to sell products, it's to like change behavior. True business, you really generally care about the pain that you want to solve. Like, that will gradually change the culture of the society that we're living in. So that's why I recommend Seth.
That was meant to be a rapid fire, but it's fine. Okay.
Talk about books.
yeah.
How can it be rapid fire?
What do you like most about Buenos Aires?
Bachata.
Tango.
Latinos.
We see you, Esther. Okay, this is a really, really cute question. What do you love most about each other? Maybe we can like take a person and like talk. What is your casual magic today? basically.
I only remember causal magic.
That's the most CS thing you've ever said. Causal inference is magic. It's basically the idea that throughout the day there's like all these mundane things that happen, but you can find beauty in things that are mundane. So like maybe you're washing up a cup or something, but you just notice that like the way the light is like streaming into the room right now is really beautiful. Or I don't know, you just had a little conversation with someone in the morning that is an everyday conversation, but you just notice, oh, it was actually so nice that I got to have this moment with this person. So like very normal things that you're grateful for.
I got my Taiwanese visa, and it's the first time in my entire Minerva journey where there's no visa issues.
That's actually good. So good.
That's not casual, that's magic.
That's magic.
Oh, I've got one. It's very like casual. So I was washing my hair and I have a new pack of shampoo, like nice curly hair shampoo, and it causes me so much stress when I don't have good curly hair products to use for my hair, 'cause it's just very specific. It can go very frizzy and stuff, and so I just feel so grateful for good hair products, and also that I'm at a stage of life where I embrace my curls and I know how to like care for them, and it just feels so good. Like having like nice hair and being like, wow, you know, I've cared for this model today.
Can I talk about class?
Yeah.
So today I'm so happy because we learned an algorithm about page rank algorithm, like how Google sort the searching page,
cool.
and professor put it in like 100 line of code and run it for us, and then like search Esther, and then you can see like a list of like answers only in like 100 line of code.
Wow.
It's so beautiful.
Ooh,
And
that's
I'm really happy.
I think us making songs.
Aww.
That was very fun.
Amazing.
Yay!
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, then that's so impressive, because I feel like this video is going to be long, but I hope this just gives a little snippet of how amazing our semester has been. Like, I truly feel so grateful for these people and this house, and just how I've like grown and learned so much from you all.
Yeah.
And it just truly feels like a home in the city. Like I come home every evening and just feel like safe and happy and just glad
I
to
know,
be here.
and crying for each other.
So. I know.
Literally
That's
crying for your stories.
Anything else? Any last minute advice you want to give anyone watching? Any like advice that calls to you right now that you think someone needs to hear?
No.
Have a gorgeous day. Bye.